2 Weaponisers, more than 60 seconds. Here we go. So, figured I could do another long form video. Here we have Siege Sixgun and Kingdom Slammer. Felt like these two would make a good pairing because they're both from Metroplex's crew. And I really like them both. They're both really good. Slammer is amazing. He pulls off everything really well. Sixgun does the whole weaponizing thing really well. Other stuff maybe not so much, but we'll get to that. These two are my favorite Autobot weaponizers, and I say that because I don't have Brunt yet, so I couldn't say they're my favorite weaponizers. But we will see. I'm going to get to doing some individual things, then we'll come back and do the transformation. First up is Kingdom Slammer, doing these completely out of order, I know, bear with me. Slammer, I think, is a really nice example of a weaponizer, because he looks solid in robot mode. Everything looks like it lines up and could feasibly transform properly. He doesn't do that, but he looks like he could. And I really like how they got the treads on the back as well as on the chest here. I like how they made the front of the tank into the chest, and they also gave him a very like generic soldier type head sculpt, like something you see on like an auto trooper. And I think that works really well, given that this is like a drone for Metroplex. Now, he's got all sorts of articulation, anything you could ever really want or need for any poses. Like, there you go, straight into an action pose. Gotta love that. And hey, you want an ab crunch? He's even sort of got that, because you can use this transformation joint in the middle of the chest and sort of fake it. You know, you get everything you could need. And it's not a bad one either. It goes as far as you would ever need it to. But he can do that sometimes. Sometimes he just untransforms. But he's really fun. Highly recommend him. And even better is you can take some of the parts off of the back here, and also the gun off of his fist, and now we have some weapon configuration. We have some weapon configurations to go through, and that's something I really like about this guy. So first of all, you can totally stick the gun on his back. I prefer the like non-symmetrical look, but if you want, you can use this, put it on there, put the gun on top, and you get the symmetrical look. But what I like to do with that is take the treads, slide them together, put that on the end, and we have a chainsaw. Yes, you can give him a chainsaw. And hell, if you want him to hold it like a sword, he can hold it like a sword. Or, you know, if you want, you can take this piece off, split the treads again, and now he can have 2 of them. That's right, you can give him 2 swords. And I just tend to stick this back here even, but you know, you can do what you want with it. You can use it to get the tank turret in the middle. But yeah, I really enjoy this guy. He's a lot of fun to just mess around with, even if he does have maybe like a few issues with like this joint is a bit too easy to move, but you know, he's still a ton of fun. Highly recommend this one. Now, Sixgun is another figure I am incredibly positive about. I love how he articulates as well. You can get him into some fairly dynamic poses, but you know, even stock standard, he looks cool. Certainly looks like he's accurate. That's a good thing. And he definitely looks like the sort of weapons specialist, given that he is made of weapons. One thing I do like is the guns on the back of the arms. Not necessarily because like they're stuck here. I like how the back of the arms is sort of hollow to accommodate that peg there, and that's pretty nice. But I do kind of wish that this could all move together. But you can fake it by just pegging that into the back of his head. It looks a bit strange when you have him in this in this sort of pose, but when you bend it, it looks fine. And then you can get him pointing his guns, but also as though they're kind of on his back. Or you can do the Seeker thing of just kind of moving his forearm out of the way to get that. Now, he does have these kinds of shoulders, so, you know, if you want to put his arm back, you can't exactly do it. But, you know, I don't really care all that much about that. I tend to just pose him with what he can have. And another fun thing is all of this on his back, because you can use some of this space, you can remove those, put that on, and you can get that sort of look if you want him to look like that with the guns over his shoulders, or hell, you can even put the red missiles over his shoulders if you want. I prefer the original look for that, with the 2 missiles, but, you know, your toy, do what you want with it. I don't mind. Now, a few issues on this one, mainly in stability and the structure of everything, because the feet love to just like have this bit flip up, and then if that happens, it can fall over. It didn't just there, but it can. And also this joint in the middle, it does snap in, but if you hit it wrong, it can come undone, so that's not the greatest. But with this one, you also get some weapons configurations. As I showed before, you can take the guns off. You can also peg them into his hands normally and get sort of like that. That's pretty nice. I quite like it. I also quite like just the design of these guns. It's pretty cool. And his head is also pretty well designed. I love the visor and mouth plate that they go for with these. It's just a fun design in my opinion. And you can also take that, peg it up there, or on there if you want to do that. Well, hell, you can even peg it on the outside. You know, that's a thing you can do. It's not my cup of tea, but I'm sure someone will like it. And yeah, he can also do some pretty dynamic poses, including sending off the missiles from the back. You just got sort of hunch him over, get him in sort of a prepared stance, and boom, firing him off. And you can also get him into some general battle poses, like a melee fighting stance. You don't imagine he's typically a melee fighter, but he can definitely do the poses for it. And yeah, Sixgun, also another I highly recommend. My favorite of the siege weaponizers that I've got so far. This pose is not very stable, I'm just realizing. But yeah, he's my favorite of the siege weaponizers that I have so far, but I don't have Brunt, so maybe I'll like him better. Who knows? But another one I highly recommend. Now, bringing them back together, it's time for transformation, and I think we'll start with Sixgun. So I'm going to move Slammer off, and to start, you want to just disassemble him. Take his arms off, take his legs off, split this by folding these down first, which can be a bit stiff, but that might just be because mine's a bit of an older figure. You rotate the head, fold up this back part to cover his face, fold up the front, fold up these, and separate. You also want to remove the missiles. Then you want to take this part and do that, so you get it like that, and rotate the waist. And now, really, you didn't have to take the legs off because they just end up in the same place anyway. But you know, it's a weaponizer. You usually have to split them all. Anyway, you push the legs up so that that port goes over that peg, or that tab in that slot even. You just do that. You want to make sure that the hips stay aligned so that it works properly, and then you bring these down, you fold down the toes, and once again you want to make sure that the hips are properly aligned. These ones are not, so there we go. And you got that segment sorted. Now you take these. I've never known which way these goes around. I'm going to assume this way. I think I've got that right. Feel free to correct me in the comments. You peg in the missiles, and then use that port and that peg put it together, and you want to just straighten out some things, make it look better, and there you go. You got your Cybertronian VTOL aircraft. Just realizing I've need to fix some things. And there you go. Now, for Slammer, it's mostly the same. You just take the arms off, take the legs off, take the back off, and now we can get started. So, rotate the head, put it down, rotate the waist, leave it there for now. Take the arms, peg them together, and rotate the arms, forearms, so that they're like this. Take the cannon off, take this piece from the back, put it on the end, and peg the barrel in. Then you want to just sort of bring all that up, and that will go straight into these back two pegs on the back plate. Now you want to take the legs, fold in the thigh, bring out the ankle. Same thing on the other side, fold in the thigh, bring out the ankle, and then these will go around the shoulders using this peg here, or this port here, and this peg here. You just want to slide that in from the side and then push it down. Now you want to bring that up a bit if it falls. Then take the front and the back, combine them using these two ports and these two pegs. Push them together. Then you want to push the waist up into all this empty space here without moving this joint. Then you bring this entire section down, and you have Slammer in his nice little sort of Earth tank mode. Now bringing Sixgun back in, he's a little Cybertronian VTOL hovercraft, sort of. No, that's not the right word. It's an aircraft. I imagine it hovers though. He's got you got the cockpit here with the silver paint and the Autobot logo up there. You have these 4 guns down here that never seem to want to line up. You have the missiles on either side, these missiles. You've of course got the actual turbines, which show better from the other side. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they're supposed to go this way around. You also got some thrusters on the back of here, and on the back, not really much to say. It is just kind of the legs hanging out. I like how they kind of use these bits, sort of look like bridges, but you know, it's a nice touch. And it's a nice touch and a nice end to a nice figure. Bringing Slammer back for a moment, we have this nice little earthy tank mode, and I'm a fan, I'd have to say it. I'm a fan. You can lift up the turret. It doesn't spin, sadly, but I'm sure there's an upgrade kit somewhere. You've got all the details you want. You got your treads. You got this that follows all the way through with the black striping even, adding to hiding this port here used for the shoulders, which I quite like. Do have the tempo there of the batch number, I think, but you know, it's excusable. You got Autobot logo right on the front. Just gonna move this out of the way to show that better. Autobot logo on the front. You got the same stuff on the other side, but without the tempo. Screw there does kind of throw off everything, but I don't mind. A neat little detail I noticed is this peg here on the sort of adapter piece for the cannon. There's a hole, there's like a little divot on the back of Slammer's head that nicely falls into. And I quite like that. I also quite like that these pegs here, they made space for that by sort of bringing that down. Quite nice. And all the details on top as well. You got the caps here. I don't know if they're meant to be hatches or what, but you know, it's nice. And then of course you've got like these sort of little bits on the front. I think they're supposed to be kind of like headlights, but not exactly. I just really can't see them. These bits here, I think they're meant to be like headlights, but not entirely sure. But what I am sure about is that this is a pretty good tank mode, and it rolls, as any good tank does. Gotta love the rolling tanks. Now, one complaint I have is the fists just kind of hanging out here, but is there really that much they could have done to hide them, other than just like making them smaller or changing the entire structure of this figure? I'd have to say probably not. but I'm just a guy on the internet who talks about this stuff for fun. So who am I to know? And now, bring them back together for the final segment, the weaponizing. I also have here Siege Sideswipe, also a pretty good figure, highly recommend that one, but for now, he's just going to be who we're doing the weaponizing for. And we're going to start with Sixgun again, because these two are actually mentioned in the instructions for Sixgun, so I think it will work well. So to start off, you want to separate every piece. You get to take every piece apart except leave the guns here on the forearms. They do not move. After you take all the pieces apart, you spread them out. I'm going to try as best as I can to remember these configurations. So here we go. Now, I'm going to start with this one. I've forgotten which either of these are, but this is the one I'm starting with. So, the feet become like sort of like platform shoes. They don't hold on the best sometimes, but you know, they're stable enough. This part, I believe, goes on the back. You want to spin this, bring this down, attach the arms over top. Nope, this one goes on this side. Get the other arm, do the same. Peg that on the back. Take this part, attach each of the missiles, and you can make that into a shield. And I think that looks pretty nice. Just gonna pan up a little so you can see the guns up there. Now, configuration number 2. Most of these parts will have to come apart like this. Remove these. I'm gonna remove the feet armor. Move this to the side for a second. This part though, take it off his back. You want to bring these up, I believe. And then from here, you fold out these pegs here. Attach these to these. Well, that peg. Attach to there. Put these in at the top. Now here you want to bring down the cockpit, but not the rest of this. Peg all this onto his back. Bring down the cockpit. And then this will peg straight into there. And there you have configuration 2. This I quite like because you get like a big jetpack with all the cannons, and you can sort of like angle these down if you want to make it a bit more of a big pack of cannons, and I think it looks pretty good. Now, the final configuration only uses 2 of these parts, so you want to remove this, put those off to the side, you remove this, you remove the arms, and keep these 2 together. So this part, these parts, actually no, it'd probably be better if we separate them. Keep these parts, you bring them over. This part you will leave as is, but you will get that joint moving there. Bring one of them forward, bring one of them, slide one of them back, and you get this sort of piece. Then you want to peg that onto the same place you did last time. Peg this onto his arm. Bring the side flaps down and the front as well, and you get big hand mode. I like this as well. It is just so silly and I love it. It's just so incredibly dumb and unnecessary, and I think it's hilarious. I quite like it. If you don't, feel free to comment. I will probably not read it. That's a joke. But, you know, I find it quite funny. I like it. If you disagree, I don't care. I think it's just really funny, and I don't know. Am I just blinded by humor? Probably. Is it actually probably a bad? Probably again, yeah. But I like it. It's funny. Now, moving all these parts out of the way, gonna bring in Slammer. So, to start here, you want to take apart every piece again, except you leave the arms together, and you want to leave the waist attached to the rest of the upper body. Take the leg off of here and collapse those. Take the leg, collapse the foot. You take the arms, that part fell off. Let me just get that. You remove them from the back plate. Let me just get the other arm piece. There we go. Attach that on. Separate. Then you want to bring these so that this folds outwards. We can put that off to the side. Same thing here. Fold that outwards. And we can put that off to the side. And then what we want to do is peg these into the feet. And these make significantly better feet attachments because they actually stay on. Then for the body, you want to unfold this entire thing, bring it to about there, because that's as far as it'll go. You spread the hips out, and then you take these, attach them via the same thing you use for alt mode, but onto the legs, onto the hip joints, and then using this peg here, we will put that onto Sideswipe's back, and there you are. And then the rest of the pieces, you want to take the treads off. Forgot to do that earlier. Take this, peg it into the gun, and peg that into his arm. Try not to knock everything else off and or over. And then you reassemble the chainsaw, like we did earlier. And you want to put that on his other arm. And that's going to fall over again. This is cool. I like this. It looks awesome. You got the big missiles on the back, you got the missile pods. Love that. And also like how you can just like angle them if you want to. That's pretty cool. You got the sort of boots or the shoes that he's wearing, and that the foot armor has always been really funny to me. But you know, you got the cannon, which has the barrel on the top, and I quite like that because I think that makes it look a bit cooler. You got the chainsaw. Who doesn't love a good chainsaw? And yeah, oh, it just fell apart. That's who doesn't love a good chainsaw. Gravity. But yeah, you keep this all put together, and I like it. I think it's really cool. And this is why I like Slammer. He only has like the one weaponizer thing, sure, but he does it well. I quite like it. He does everything else well, and the one weaponizing thing that he does have is pretty cool, and you can always just make others if you want to. I mean, look at Botbender Orange. He's doing all sorts with this stuff, usually with other weaponizers, but, you know, sometimes he makes stuff like this. Getting off topic here. Yeah, really like this. This is cool. And if you don't like it, you can do something else with it. Nothing says you have to do this configuration. I'm just doing that for the sake of the review. Overall, I think each of these two are phenomenal deluxes. Each of them definitely deserve a place in your collection, especially if you can find them for retail price, because they're good, but I wouldn't recommend paying whatever the aftermarket is. If you can find them for like 20, 30 quid, that is as good as it gets. That's what you should go for. If anyone's selling them for like 40 or more, they're probably not worth 40. But retail, these two are great. Love them. Phenomenal. Both definitely deserve the space in the collection that they take up, which isn't much, to be fair. But yeah, that's my thoughts on these two weaponizers. And remember to like and subscribe if you feel